Welcome back to the channel. No one expected that a person in prison could still cause such a terrible nightmare. Nhat's mother-in-law secretly manipulated everything. While the police husband completely lost his mind, the weak daughter-in-law was pushed into a dangerous trap with no one to save her in time. Will she be able to escape this dark hand? Early that morning, the sunlight had just peeked through the eaves, and Nhat and his mother were already sitting outside, with steaming cups of tea in front of them. The atmosphere was peaceful but heavy. Both of them tried to recall familiar memories for Hang, from the time he fell off his bike in the yard, to the food that only his mother cooked, or the story of the first time Hang met Nhat in the rain. They told it with all their patience and fragile hope. But Hang remained silent. His face was expressionless, his eyes looking far away like someone standing outside the story. He shook his head slowly. "I don't remember anything." Nhat clenched his hands, his voice trembling. "You don't remember? Even me?" But Hang only frowned, as if she was being forced into a corner with no way out. The silence continued to suffocate the heart of the wife who was trying her best. Inside, someone was quietly watching and didn't want Hang to remember anything. On the police side, when they heard that Hang, the police officer who had been missing for many days, had returned, his old teammates were stunned. That same afternoon, Hang's two closest colleagues immediately came to visit him. As soon as the door opened, they called out his name, their eyes filled with emotion. But Hang's gaze was only unfamiliarity. He sat still, expressionless, looking at them like they had never met before. A friend asked him, chuckling softly, "Hey, don't you recognize us? We're the old criminal investigation team." Hang just shook her head, a wary look on her face. "Sorry, I don't know who you guys are." The atmosphere was heavy. Those who had gone through life and death together now stood silently before an invisible distance due to their memories being stolen. Seeing that Hang did not recognize anyone, the comrades just looked at each other in silence. One of them spoke up. "He probably needs more time. We will take our leave." They left, but their eyes were still filled with suspicion. After they left, Nhat turned to her mother, her voice calm. "I'll go out to the field to tend the corn for a while, Mom. Please help me look after Hang." She just nodded. No one knew that the very step of leaving the yard had led Nhat into a trap that was waiting for her. Little did she know, this trip could be the last. At that moment, in a hidden corner of the prison visiting room, two young men entered, pretending to be grandchildren visiting their grandmother. No one suspected anything. Hang's mother was waiting with a cold expression. When the two men arrived, she handed them a small piece of paper. Inside was a map and detailed instructions. "Wait for her to leave home. Closely monitor her, capture her alive, bring her to the place I told you to, then call the traffickers to come and get her." One of them frowned. "Are you sure she's worth it?" She laughed coldly. "Your people told you. She's young, docile. The traffickers will pay double." None of the guards heard. Someone had deliberately turned off the camera in the hallway for a few minutes. Everything had been arranged. This time, "I don't just want her to disappear. I want her to disappear from Hang's life forever," she growled, her eyes filled with hatred. Having finished their plan, the two immediately took action. On their way back, they unexpectedly ran into Nhat, who was walking home from work alone. Without hesitation, they rushed forward. Nhat panicked, desperately trying to fight back in the middle of the deserted street. Nhat struggled in despair, but her strength was no match for the two strong men pushing her. She screamed and broke free, panicking and running towards the cornfield in the distance. The wind whistled in her ears, each foot strike hitting the muddy ground, almost causing her to collapse. The soft and slippery soil of the field made her slip and fall face down into the mud. The mud smeared her face, scratching her arms, but she did not allow herself to stop. The sound of footsteps chasing behind her was like the sound of death knocking on the door. One of them shouted, "Run, you can't escape." Nhat gritted her teeth, jumped up, and continued to run deeper into the field, her heart pounding as if it was about to burst. Nhat was yanked back by a savage grab of her hair. She screamed, her legs fighting back fiercely, kicking the air as if desperately looking for a way out. But the two men were much stronger. One of them threw her arms behind her back, and the other grabbed her chin. "Stop struggling, go." One of them growled, then pulled her up like a powerless rag doll. Nhat struggled desperately, Her hands were tied so tightly that her blood almost stopped circulating. She panicked, her heart pounding. What did I do wrong? That question repeated in her head like a painful echo. Why did one person after another try to harm her? Darkness surrounded her. The kidnapper's wild laughter echoed behind her. They didn't need to say much. The man behind them pressed closer, one hand pushing her back, forcing her to move. She tried to turn around to look, but they growled, "Don't look, go straight." What made her suffocate more than anything was fear. About 10 minutes later, an abandoned house appeared in the middle of the hill. The old wooden house, the roof was sloping, moss covered the walls. The main door was half open and creaked in the wind. A crow flew up as they approached, as if foreshadowing something bad. "Come in," the guy behind shouted. Nhat tried to resist, but her strength was almost exhausted. They pushed hard, causing her to stagger over the threshold. As soon as she entered, they used rope to tie her to the house pillar. Inside was an empty, cold room, with a musty smell and the smell of rat droppings rushing straight up to her nose. They tied her tightly to a rotten wooden chair in the middle of the room. Nhat closed her eyes, trying to stay calm, but tears were already flowing. No one knew where she was, and her mother-in-law, the one behind it all, was still sitting safely in prison, silently controlling this plan like a sophisticated puppet. She swallowed a cold breath and told herself, must find a way to survive, at all costs. A man approached, his rough hand gripping her chin, lifting her face up mockingly. "Do you want to know who is behind all this?" He leaned close to her face, his voice as deep as a ghost's whisper. Nhat trembled violently, her lips pressed tightly together, her throat choked. She couldn't answer, only silently shedding tears. At that moment, she didn't know what was more terrifying, the person in front of her or the truth that was about to be revealed. Darkness seemed to squeeze her heart. Immediately after seeing Nhat's panicked eyes, the kidnapper sneered and took out his phone, dialing a number. "Hello, you? It's good. The kind you ordered. Come and get it," he said without avoiding her, as if her presence was just an inanimate object. Nhat opened her mouth, her whole body trembling. Each of his words was like a knife cutting into her flesh, revealing the horrifying truth. She was about to be sold. It was no longer a threat, this was reality. On the other end of the line, a man's voice echoed in a harsh voice, "On time, no delay. If there is a problem, don't blame us." The kidnapper laughed sinisterly. "Don't worry, it can't go anywhere." Nhat desperately shook her head, trying to struggle, but the ropes tightened, causing blood to seep from her wrists. She wanted to scream, wanted to call for help, but she was a mute, so how could she scream? The dim, flickering lights above made the abandoned house even colder. She knew time was running out. While waiting for the traffickers to arrive, will anyone discover where Nhat is being held? She is losing hope, while each passing minute seems to be counting down to the abyss. Will a ray of light shine in the darkness? Or will she disappear forever? Let's watch the thrilling developments in the next episode.